All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Friday Team Call, jazzing it up this morning. Happy to see everybody on with us for the Menefee hierarchy call, with joining with the Vetter and Dinwiddie Agency. We got the band back together. Excited to have you on. Right out of the gate, guys, one of the things that I wanted to briefly share with you, because one of the things that I caught myself just this past week, and John Paul and I were talking about this, and I really have framed our situation in a very bad verbiage, I guess would be the thing to say, because I keep talking about the Vetter Agency have broken off and they're off doing their thing, and guys, that's not. Yes, they do their own meeting, but we're still all part of the team. And I want to encourage everybody to dig in, lean in, work together, work cross lines. John Paul and I were talking just the other day about what can we do to get further engagement among the team with the agents working together, sharing time on Zoom. And I know a lot of you are doing that organically, but we want to make it intentional. And hats off and the thanks to John Paul for bringing this to my attention and actually driving. Hey, we got to get a meeting back together where we get everybody on a call. We're going to make a regular point of doing this, guys, every quarter. Get back together as a huge group and get that energy and excitement that we get from each other, and share in our wins, share in those who are moving up in the company, and encouraging those who are wanting to. So that's how I want to start off the call. Let's hit some leaderboards, because, man, we have got some rock stars that are going out. We're going to do the entire hierarchy leaderboard this morning. So we'll start out with the week first. We had Terry Myers, 3 applications, $2,615, direct to Stella Dinwiddie. Stephanie Stubbs, 1 application, $2,700, direct to John Paul Vetter. And Joe Gooding, 3 applications, $3,152, direct to John Paul Vetter. Ebony Everett, 3 applications, $3,292, direct to Vanessa Gilbert. Derek Capito, I hope I said your last name right there, Derek. I apologize if I messed it up. 4 applications, $3,885, direct to Brad Higgins. Lorinda Thompson, 2 applications, $3,934, direct to Mark Roberts. Donna Bates, in number 4 position, 5 applications, $3,950, direct to Spencer Cushion. Adam Patterson, 8 applications, $5,634, direct to Joanna Doyman. Great job, Adam. 3rd spot. Great week. Stacy Love, 12 applications, $8,146, direct to Donna Bates. Stacy, you are app count lead so far for the week. Keep it up. We do have till midnight Eastern, guys. For those of you who are brand new, midnight Eastern is the cutoff time for turn in for this week. So I know a lot of people running appointments on Friday and have great success doing that. So if you write business, go ahead and turn in today, and it will count for the week. Number 1 rider for the week, guys, no stranger to number 1, Mr. Spencer Cushion, 11 applications, $14,765. Awesome job, Spencer. Man, that is an awesome week. No stranger to the 15K weeks, by the way. But no, that's fantastic, guys. We have an exciting announcement. Now, we're always pumped when we have new riders, but I cannot tell you how pumped I am for our new rider this week. Every new rider is a great new rider, but this one is very, very special to me, because Miss Lori Allen is a new rider with the team, and hats off to Lori. 3 applications, $1,214, a part of the Vetter Agency. And for those of you who have been around for a while, you obviously know and love Lori for her work behind the scenes, but now she is hitting the field and obviously going out and helping families. So that is exciting. There you go. One of my favorite announcements ever for a brand new rider. And I celebrate every new rider, but like I said, this one's got to be a little bit extra special. So great job, Laurie. Keep it up. All right, top 10 for the month, guys. Sydney Lee, 6 applications, $5,803, direct to Stella. Stephanie Stubbs, 5 applications, $6,105, direct to John Paul. Lorinda Thompson, 5 applications, $6,337, direct to Mark Roberts. James McKeon, Back in the mix, 10 applications, $6,818, directed John Paul. And I know, James, you've been around for a while, so I don't mean to say it that way, but I know you're ramping back up, buddy, and I'm excited to see you back. That is awesome. Donna Bates, 11 applications, $7,818, direct to Spencer. Stella Dinwiddie, 9 applications, leading from the front, $8,270, direct to myself. Adam Patterson, great month going, 12 applications, $9,015, direct to Joanna Doiben. Edged out, though, just barely. And let me say, Renata, am I saying that correct? We're getting that name? Okay, Renata had 2 applications, $9,810. Nadata, excuse me, I didn't say her last name. Renata Karanov. How bad did I say that? Karanov. All right. 2 applications. Wow. 2 applications and cranking out $9,800. Keep that up. You're not going to be too displeased with those results. That's awesome. So far for the month, Stacy Love, 20 applications, leading on app count, $13,095. Number 1 so far for the month, Mr. Spencer Cushion, again, no stranger to lead role, 14 applications, $21,208. Guys, we want to continue recognition of leaderboards because I reached out to both the Mank and the Pogue hierarchies, and a lot of you I know were on those award shows here over the last couple of weeks. But I meant, when I was watching the leaderboards, and I mean, obviously I see the numbers every week, every month. We track that stuff, and you know, it's exciting. I know we have a lot of winners on this team, but then when I look at how we stack up with the Mank hierarchy, with 8 or 9 agency owners, so different agencies, and the Pogue hierarchy with 20 some agency owners now, so 21 different agencies. Guys, you showing up on those leaderboards is a huge deal, and I want to give a shout out to everybody who showed up on those leaderboards. And I don't have slides because we don't have the time to kind of go through everything today. But I want to real quickly breeze through that. I encourage you to go back and watch. If you didn't get a chance to jump on that, if you're brand new, this is your first call, go back and watch those leaderboards. It'll give you a sense of what can happen in this business, what you can achieve. So shout out for the Pogue agency. We had Joanna Doiben, rookie impact player. Great job. I was so excited to see that. Jenny Gray, number 3 producer and an impact player. Stacy Love, number 4 rookie producer, rookie impact player. Stella Dinwiddie, number 2 rookie AO, agency owner, number 2 issue paid. Guys, that's huge. That's out of a massive agency. She was number 2 overall. That's awesome, an issue paid. Lifetime production over $600,000, $642,000 lifetime production. Number 8 producer overall, and an agency owner impact player. So excited. Spencer Cushion won the Golden Pen Award. Guys, this is the best overall issue paid. That's, you know, yes, we call out these numbers on the leaderboards, and those are all written policies. But there's a gap between getting it written and getting it issued. And you all have been around for a while, you know that takes some work. So to be the number 1 in the entire Pogue hierarchy with hundreds of agents submitting business, hats off to Spencer Cushion. Golden Pen, lifetime production over $1 million, $1,011,000. And, you know, Spencer's been a rock in a workforce. So shout out to Spencer this morning. John Paul Vetter, number 2 base shop. Guys, you guys are rocking, and I love watching that. Personally, number 9 producer. This is while helping all you guys and, you know, cranking out a massive agency, growing fast. Guys, to be number 9 producer and doing all that, yeah, that's hardcore. Leadership award. Guys, well recognized. He was recognized as an agency owner leader in the Pogue agency, and very few of those were given out, just a very small fraction. So of all the agencies, he was right up there at the top. We had Greg Ace, number 3 annuity producer. Greg is a specialist in that. So if any of you have a situation where you need some insight and input, Greg actually works with the QMS team. So the Quality Retirement Solutions team. So we have our own in-house resource for that, guys. So if you run into a situation And you really need to be talking about retirement right now, guys. If you don't watch the market, I can tell you it is an absolute roller coaster right now. Every client that you're talking to, especially if they're over 50 years old, you need to be asking, are your retirement savings protected from market loss? Simple question. If not, would you like to learn how? Don't take it any further. Get bam, fam, book a meeting from a meeting. Okay. And then overall, guys, and this belongs to all of you. We were the #3 regional agency director in the entire POG hierarchy, but that's all of you. That's not me. That's you. And I am so awesome. It's just, I'm overwhelmed when I think about that. So humbled. Let's look at the Mank hierarchy and they did a little bit different. So, we'll hear a little bit different names, but I see what they did. They broke it up into the 3 different agencies. Okay, that's all right. We'll roll through it. I was hoping they'd do the entire hierarchy, but they broke it up. So out of the Menefee base shop, we had 10K a week writers, Donna Bates, Stacy Love, and myself. Top 10 rookie producers, we had #3, Stacy Love. Top 10 producers, #8, Spencer Kushian, also Donna Bates in at #10. We had top rookie application count, Stacy Love. Top application count overall, Donna Bates and Stacy Love at #8 and #10 for the entire Mank hierarchy. Top issue paid percentage for producers, Donna Bates came in at 75%. Man, we're really going to highlight that this year, guys, because that's where we make our money. The top issue pay percentage, and this makes absolute sense since he won the Golden Pin Award, but Spencer Kushian was #1 in Mank. So if he wasn't #1 in Mank, we'd have some questions on how he got #1 in POG, but obviously he was #1 in the Mank hierarchy as well. Top agency owner base shop issue pay percentage, guys, our base shop came in at #3. Overall 72%. So really pumped up to see that again. That's all of you in the base. Top master agency was ours. So shout out again to all of you. From the Vetter agency, the 10,000 a week recognition. John Paul Vetter, 7 times, guys, 7 times 10K a week. That's 70K right there. Jenny Gray, 4 times. Eric Sullivan, Natalie Hermit, great job. 15K, Mr. Vetter has done it twice. So he's a 2-time 15K and the only one recognized, at least from our group, as a 20K a week rider. So congratulations, John Paul. You're going to figure this thing out one of these days. I'm going to be excited once you know how to make this thing work. So awesome. Top 10 rookie producers. #10, Derek McPherson. Top 10 producers, John Paul overall in the Mank hierarchy was #6. Top 10 producers, #1 was Jenny Gray in the Mank hierarchy. Congratulations, Jenny, well deserved. Top 10 rookie application count, Joanna Doyven. Congratulations, Joanna, you were #8 in the Mank hierarchy. Top 10 rookie application count, #9, and Jill Gooding. Again, top 10 rookie application. Top 10 application overall, #1 was Jenny Gray. Great job, Jenny. And top agency owner base shop, #2, Mr. John Paul Vetter. He also got the Fired Up Award. I was really excited to see well-deserved Fired Up Award from Scott Mank. And there was only 2 of those. The other one, we're going to go ahead and shift now to the Dinwiddie agency, and that's Stella Dinwiddie, won the Fired Up Award. Well-deserved. Stella also came in as a 10K a week rider 4 times, and as well from her team, Terry Myers. So hats off to Terry for entering the 10K a week production recognition. Top 10 producers, and again, this is from the Dinwiddie agency, but this is in the entire Mank hierarchy. So again, they kind of split this up. So I apologize. It kind of feels like we're bouncing on around, but I want to make sure we get everybody recognized properly. Top 10 producers out of Mank. We had #5, Stella Dinwiddie. I said Stelly. It's a slip. I've been around John Paul too long. Top 10 application count. #4, Terry Myers. Terry is our app queen. Number 2 was Stella Dinwiddie. So she obviously learned well from Stella. Top issue paid percentage was Stella Dinwiddie. Number 2 at 78%. Again, just a rock solid on the issue paid. Top annuity producer, Mr. Greg Ace. He was number 1, so number 3 in Pogue, number 1 in Make. Top IUL producers, Terry Myers came in at number 3 in the Make hierarchy. Top agency owner, base shop, Stella came in number 3. Top agency owner, base shop issue paid percentage, Stella came in at number 2. Great job, guys. I wanted to, again, it took us a little time to get through that, but I definitely wanted to recognize all of you for, I mean, just a phenomenal 2021. The momentum we've got for 2022 is just off the charts. I'm so excited. One last recognition here before we kind of wrap up awards. And I want to highlight this because this is something that each and every one of you can tap into throughout this year. The Pogue hierarchy is running, I don't want to call it a contest. They're doing a drawing. For anybody that goes out and writes 5,000 a week, you can actually get entered into a drawing for lead credit. In fact, let me pull up it's $20,000 lead credit challenge over the year. They're going to give out $20,000, $250 weekly lead credit. So just submit 5,000 to production, and you're entered in a drawing for that. A $1,500 quarterly lead credit, and a $5,000 year-end grand prize. And there's one other they added to it, and I apologize, I could not find this graphic. If anybody, John Paul or Stella knows, there's one other drawing that they're doing, I think, for $100 lead credit. And I know it's 100 because our own Terry Myers, I wanted to recognize her. She actually won that here about a week or 2 weeks ago. So
yeah,
congratulations,
to that point, Chris, I literally just got an email right now from Becky Presley that said from my team, the drawing for this last week, Mr. Dennis Betton won $100 lead credit for the drawing that they just did this last week. So, and I know Lila Dabian on my team, she got $1,000 lead credit a few weeks back from the other contest. Yep.
Awesome. Yes. Yeah, great. Thanks to John Paul for popping in because we want to get all those recognitions. That is, guys, obviously we do this business to take care of our family, take care of our financial needs, but it's always nice when you get a little extra kicker on top of everything. So great job. We're going to pause here. I wanted to bring on our other agency owner, Stella Dinwiddie, because she had a couple of announcements and a surprise announcement that that is personal to her, but I want her to talk about it.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is totally exciting to be here with you all. Like, just this brings back floods of memories when we were all together. I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful and so blessed to be here. Like, I can't even tell you. So I'll tell you the announcement I told my team yesterday so they know, because I just got an email yesterday, and I say all this to tell you for what's possible here for sometimes when you feel like, you see everybody else winning and whatever, and you're feeling like, gosh, I would love to win a trip. I would love to do this. I would love to do that. Well, you can just, put your nose down and just follow the system, because that's what I did. And I was telling Scott, Mank, and Chris one day about a year ago, I'd see all these people win trips, this and that. And I would be like, well, I haven't won anything yet. I've been here about 2.5 years. And I'm like, I haven't won anything yet, but mark my words, I'm going to win something. And lo and behold, in December, I won $1,000 from American Amicable. And that was a big, huge treat. And then I thought, wait a minute, if I won that, maybe I'm actually doing better than I think I am, because you don't realize it. Like, you push through, but sometimes you just don't realize, like John Paul, I love what he posts. Remind me, John Paul, about the magnitude and the blessing. Can you say it real quick?
Sure. No, absolutely. Thanks, Stella. So the saying is, if you could see the size of the blessing that's at the end of this, you'd understand the magnitude of the fight that you're in every single day.
That's exactly right. It's a battle. It's a battle because it's a battle all right here, right? So I'm trying to say it without crying because I'm so excited. So yesterday, I came back from Cabo, which I was super jazzed and excited. But you come back into reality and you're like trying to push through everything. I couldn't get to my dials because I was came back to recruits and like business and this and that. And then I get this email from American Amicable that said, I want a trip to Hawaii. You guys, I want a trip to Hawaii. I'm so excited. Like, I've never won a trip. And you always saw, John Paul and all these other people, Miranda Martin, they have all these trips they're posting. And so it was really exciting. So I say all that to tell you, keep your hopes up. Don't quit. Just keep pushing through. Even if you're not seeing the results, like it'll come. Do you just keep doing whatever, as long as you're following the system, keep it up because it'll eventually come back to you and you will reap the rewards. I just want to encourage you with that. And it was so exciting. So that's all that I had to share with you on all that. Because a lot of you I feel like have been here from the get-go and saw me as what I would say a baby boarding on, and struggling like many of you new people are. So there's so much hope out there, you guys, and so much amazing opportunities that it's crazy right now. I can't say anything more than that. And what else did you want me to say, Chris? I'm sorry.
No, that was it. If you had anything else you needed to share or announce, but no, that's the biggie.
Yeah. Everything else you've pretty much, rolled through with Terry winning and, all those announcements, which is really exciting. And I was so excited about my trip. I can't remember what else I was going to say, except that just, if I could just leave you with this, is just keep pushing. You guys just keep pushing. Just keep pushing. And if you can't figure it out for any reason, reach up to your upline, to your sideline, but make sure that it's to somebody who's already been there, not somebody who hasn't, because they're not going to be able to help you. It has to be somebody that's already walked the journey that can help you. So that's all. And I'm so excited to see you all. I love all your faces. I love you guys so much. I'm like so ecstatic to be here. So that's all I wanted to share. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you, Stella. Well, we're going to hear from Stella here again in just a few moments. But, one of the things that we always want to do with these calls, in addition to celebrating the wins, celebrating everything that you guys are accomplishing, we also want to bring real value, something that you can take tangible into your business, into the coming week. Whether you're brand new, whether you've been here for a while, whether you're killing it, whether you're struggling, something that you can take away and plug into your business. And one of the things that we really have put a focus on, myself, Stella, John Paul, we've really been watching the numbers, a lot of conversations with Scott, Jacob, even Marshall, about, when in this business, again, I kind of alluded to it earlier, we go through the leaderboards, but the leaderboards are just what has been submitted. There's our old catchphrase, submit is for show, issue paid is for dough. You can submit a lot of policies, but if you're not getting those policies through underwriting, your business will not be profitable. And, as we look at the numbers, overall, we really want to, moving forward throughout this year, there's a lot of things to focus on, guys. There's a lot of moving pieces, but one of those that we do want to focus on, because we see a little bit of choppy waters in our issue paid. And a lot of times it just comes down to mechanics, to kind of understanding the process, understanding the carriers. There's a lot of pieces that go into it. And I realize it could be a little bit overwhelming. But what I wanted to do this morning is just real briefly bring on some rock stars who are just absolutely killing it on issue paid and getting business written, because, and not just written, but getting it through underwriting. Because, as you saw, as I went through the POG and the MANC hierarchy, and obviously translates down to hierarchy, we have the top in our hierarchy, or in the POG hierarchy, we have the top issue paid people in this business, people who are getting business not only written, but getting it issued. they're profitable. They're getting money back in their account. So it's very important to learn from these folks, to hear what they're doing, to have the success that they're having. So we're going to start off this morning with the Golden Pen Award winner, $1 million plus winner, and, or excuse me, not winner, $1 million plus producer, since he came on with Symmetry a few years ago. But a guy that's just a rock star in writing business, but again, getting that business issued. So I asked Spencer Cushon to come on this morning and talk to us a little bit about the process that he goes through to not only write business. I mean, nearly $15,000 this week, guys. That's, you know, I mean, that's flat out getting it done. But I guarantee you on the back end, when we look at those numbers, that business for the most part, and there's always exceptions, there's always going to be things that you can't be 100%, but you can be pretty darn close. And Spencer usually is. So Spencer, talk to us a little bit about that process that you go through to maintain such a high issue paid rate.
Chris, can you guys hear me okay?
Got you loud and clear.
Good morning, everybody. Like Stella, good to see everybody again. Wonderful to be able to chat and speak into this a little bit. Just want to give a big shout out to Chris and Scott and Jacob and Marshall, all those above me who have gone before me and taught some great lessons. So I've got, if you guys want to take some notes, I've got 3 key ingredients. I'm going to speak into each of those 3. So I'm just going to let you jot them down. The first one is your foundation. Okay. The foundation you set. The second one is care enough to find out. And the last one is be able to adapt and or adjust. So foundation, care enough to find out, and be able to adapt and adjust. Okay. So for those who know me, I've been here going on 5 years. Thanks for putting up with me, gang. And Chris, you especially, for all the years. But you know, my prior background, long time ago, most of you know who've been here for a while, was a pro athlete and then coach. And so most of which I coached 24 years plus. And, you know, I had the mindset of being blessed enough to play at a high level that it was all about the habits that you brought to the table was going to carry forth as to how far you would go in your sport. And so I always taught my kids, my adults, that this was my philosophy, and that, you know, I wanted to build a stroke. I was a tennis player. I wanted to build a stroke that you couldn't mess it up even on your worst day. In other words, when you got nervous and under pressure, that stroke would always hold true for you. And so when you talk about building habits, we start with a foundation. Okay. So whether you're a producer or you're a builder, how you teach, how you lay the groundwork is going to pay big dividends in the end. And that doesn't mean always money, right? It pays dividends on how you learn and how you go forward in your business. Are you constantly, you know, reaching out and asking the same questions to your upline, or are you learning from what the upline taught you over the last 10 times? You know, are you putting that down? Are you putting that into practice? Okay, so the foundation that you lay is crucial. Chris, just big kudos to him. He set me on a great path. And that when I first started, you know, Chris and both Scott worked with me on, they knew that I think as an athlete, you know, they would pour in, they would give me nuggets. Now, listen, they didn't give me the answers. They said, go this route, go that route. This is what I think you should do. And then from that, you know, I moved forward and learned. I wanted to gather as much information I could on the products that we offered. And we offer a lot more now, so it's harder, right? But if you'll spend the time building the foundation and knowing your product, that will just help you. And here's the other thing, guys, as a foundation layer, you know, when you go in, and I'll share a story last night that just broke my heart with these people. The agent that was before me was, you know, the best respect I can give him, he was an idiot. And so, here's the thing that the process that you lay in learning the products is going to help you immensely. And when you're able to share that across the table with your clients, that's going to put you a step above the rest. Wow, this guy did this and this and this. wow, he knows that. Wow, yeah, that guy that was before me really just wanted to make $1. That's all he cared about. So here's what happened. I'll share it with you. And you guys can all grumble and go, what? So I had a 63-year-old, a 57-year-old. He did this over the phone with them, not a Zoom. So he did it by mouth. He pushed them into a fully underwritten product. The gentleman had PTSD. He had about 10 medications. So you can imagine what happened to him. I was blown away. I knew this kind of going in, but didn't have all the full details. The other lady did it as well. She was healthier, but still she takes medication. That you never do that to a client, never. And I learned this the hard way. I did it for my sister-in-law my first year in. My brother-in-law talked me into it, even amidst Chris and Scott telling me, no, don't do that. You run the risk of them not getting anything. Well, here we go. Last night I was writing 2 and 3 applications to get him through. Finally, I got him through with a graded benefit. Got her replaced the product that Guy wrote. You never do that to your client. That is just your attitude of making money and not caring for the client. So again, bottom line is build a foundation that's going to last by knowing your products, asking a lot of questions. And when you do ask, learn it. Okay. If you need to ask again, that's fine, but just learn it. Understand where you need to go with it so that when you're in the home, you're sharp. That's the whole point. We don't mind as mentors answering the questions. It's to your benefit to learn it, not ours. We're not in the home with you. Okay. So build a foundation. Next one that I mentioned was care enough to find out. Care enough to find out. Okay. So remember when we all first started, or maybe you're just first starting and you're so excited to book the lesson, right? Still coaching. Book the, and it is a lesson for me because I go in and I'm still coaching. I'm coaching my clients. But you got so excited that you got that appointment. Then you got 2, then you got 3, and you're thinking, wow, I'm going to have a great week. I'm going to make a lot of money. Yeah, on and on and on. But we're missing a key ingredient. We're all about the me and not about the we, not about them. Okay, we're thinking about ourselves. I don't know if you guys can see this, but this is a very torn up script Chris sent me. I don't know if you can see, it's really bad. It's got words all over it. It's lines crossed out of it. And here's what I wrote at the top of it when I first started 5 years ago. Are you the reason they're interested? Are you the reason they want to sit down with you? It's not about the money. There's always surprises. Okay. So, and it's great that you set appointments, but let's say you get a client that says, well, why are you asking me about all these medical questions? Well, John, wouldn't you like to get the best price? I mean, that's what I want to do. With over 40 carriers, I want to be able to give you the best product I can. And I need this information so that I can go to my carriers and get that good price for you. And usually they'll calm down because we get the obstinate folks that, don't want you prying into their medical condition. And so, it's all a matter of posture, how you set your tone with them. Are you slow? Are you speaking slowly? Are you rushing like a solicitor? Are you calm and wanting to care enough to find out about them? And then, when you're ending the call, well, John, is this for your kids? Is it for your wife? What did you set this for? What did you send this in for? Why did you call me? What are you concerned about? And so you're making little notes all along the way so that when you do hit the home, you'll be ready. And also he'll probably then warm up to you and say, oh, I forgot to mention I have COPD. Well, that's a biggie, right? So again, build your foundation. Number 2, care enough to find out. And then lastly is probably the toughest one. And that is be able to adapt and adjust. And so being an athlete, I'll just tell you guys, I hate to lose. I hate to lose now for my clients. Okay. And so last night we were just all getting excited. Oh, can't believe you couldn't get America. Okay. Let me go over here. Let me try mutual fund. Let me try this, right? Let me try, so always be able to move on the fly. Obviously we have the 911 system that you can call your mentor, that they can help you. Always use that. Chris, do you remember those late nights, me calling you? Right? How many times we talked on the phone driving home? Yeah. Right. And so, be ready to use your mentor if you get stuck. Okay. Be a winner for them. Don't worry about the money. The money will come, right? That's the benefit of it. Worry about the client, because that's what's going to build the rapport with them. And also what's going to build a referral. They're going to call you back. My wife used to make fun. It's like, Spencer, I don't think anybody really likes you because you don't ever get any referrals from your thousands of clients in the background. And so now guess what's happening? 4 years, 5 years in, people are calling me back now because they've had their product. I'm not reaching out to them. They're calling me back and asking, hey, do you have anything new? Can you sit down or talk to me about what we did 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago, and make sure I've got the right stuff in place? And Chris knows I'm not a great, woohoo person. I'm not a great social media guy. I don't promote myself, which I'm sure I should. But I don't do any of that. And so, for somebody to call back, I probably humbly did something right in the home. Okay. And so, that's really it. There's, if you just will build that foundation, care enough that comes across in the call, in the beginning, and then be able to move on the fly. Even if you're tired, make the extra effort to, write that product while in the home. Don't go home or don't go back and try to figure it out. Try to figure it out right then and there. Reach out for help if you need it. But listen, and Chris, I think will attest that. Chris, can I ask you a question? Over the last 2 years, okay, that's over half of me being there. How many 911 calls have you gotten from me?
Very, very few. I would probably count on one hand and maybe only use 1 or 2 fingers of that. In fact, we kind of joked about it the last time you called.
Yeah, and that's a testament to you, Chris, because with you and Scott, because when I started, y'all made sure that there was a foundation laid of what to learn. That's the key, what to learn, okay? And again, there's obviously the longer you do this, the more you learn too. That's just by trial and error. But again, the more you take the initiative, okay, and do it yourself and use your mentor as your support system, you're going to become the rock stars that Chris mentions every week by names. Okay. So that's all I got, Chris. No secret. Just work hard, build a foundation, care about people, and adjust and adapt.
Guys, that's huge. Thank you, Spencer. And what I love about it is just the simplicity of it. I mean, it's a simple message, but gosh, look at guys, that foundation and really everything he laid out is foundational and it's something that is repeatable. And something that if you just have the discipline to do the same things over and over again and just gradually get better at them, you will find yourself moving up the leaderboards and joining Spencer at the top. So great job. Hopefully you were paying close attention, making close notes there, especially if you find yourself struggling in this area. We're also going to hear from the number 2 issue paid for both the Mank and the Poke hierarchies. And again, I can't highlight this enough. We're talking about, guys, out of hundreds, literally hundreds of agents, these 2 that you're hearing from are at the top. So ears open, no distraction, keep listening because you're going to get diamond nuggets here. So Stella, come on and talk to us a little bit about your process working with clients and how you get all of that business, not only written, but now on the back end issued where money's coming into your bank.
Well, number 1, I'm hungry to feed my family. Just kidding. Seriously, I love people. Spencer, it was a beautiful job. And a lot of it's really similar. So I'll just simplify it. And actually, that's what I wrote on my notes is keep it simple. So number 1, write simplified products. Like there's some old SoundCloud audios that really resonated with me a long time ago that Brandon and Casey, it's under the agent training. And they talked about how hardly any of the fully underwritten actually gets processed through for whatever reason, because of time, because, the insurance carrier is now looking to rate anything and everything in their blood, their urine, things that they didn't even know that were brewing inside of them. So, you know, as tempting as it might be, I just stay away from fully underwritten. I never go there. I only had to go, I did go there twice and they were both denied. And it was only because they pushed me into like, no, she needs to. She was like 68 years old, healthy, never, you know, haven't been to the doctor in years. That's actually a red alert because when she came back from her blood test, you know, they said, oh, she had sugar in her blood, and she was all angry about it. So I like what you said though, Spencer, you said about, you know, being able to adapt and adjust. And for me, I diverted to American Amicable's Dignity Solutions, and we did 35,000 on her. And so I was able to help them ask them, you know, hey, well, would it be worth it to you to at least have something to carry you through? And it was like a trying, you know. So anyways, keep it simple, right? Simplified. Number 2 is if your client, this I learned from you, Chris, so thank you so much. You said, used to drill into me because I was one of the new people of like, well, you know, I can't find anything for, you know, 300,000, 400,000, 200,000, you know, 100,000. And they're like, you know, over 55, you know, whatever it was. And they've got these medical stuff. Stop. He said, you want to, you know, always go with kind of like that final expense, like the whole life. So it took me a while, but I feel like I've mastered combining final expense in the form of, you know, it's always going to be, you know, how to buy each other time. And I explained to them the difference between term and whole life. I asked them, hey, do you know what the difference is? And if they don't, then I say, awesome, I'd like to educate you because this is really important. Because I can't tell you how many people I sit with that their term is just now expiring and they're 65, 70 years old. They can't even afford it. So this needs to be your last plan. You don't need to worry about this anymore. You know, if you don't wake up tomorrow, come home tomorrow from work, it's going to put this much in Mary's hand to help her with the transition, to at least figure out what she's going to do. And if you do outlive it, God willing, when you're 100 years old, you can pass this on as your family legacy, or it'll cover your funeral. So final expense. And then if they're 70 years or under and they don't already have accidental death, I'm always going to bundle it. And then I'll use that to cover, you know, everything. And then number 3 is choose your carrier. Choose your carrier, you guys. You know, you hear everybody talk about, you know, just mastering, you know, one carrier. I've loved being able to master American Amicable in the last year, and I'm going to continue to, and I'll exercise others, but choose your carrier that's going to issue easily. Like American Amicable, I mean, they're always talking about which carriers are the ones that have the highest issue. American Amicable, Americo. I think John Hancock was up there at one point, right? Yeah, okay. You know, those carriers. And if I need to, I'll go to AIG. But you have to have E&O for that. But, you know, choose your carriers. Don't stay. There's a lot of great carriers. So I'm not, you know, going to speak negative about some, but there are some that you have to be perfectly healthy, or you're going to be spinning your wheels, spending all of your time. And some people know what I'm talking about here, you know, just trying to get them through that process, and it doesn't issue pay. And, you know, let's face it, you know, we're in a business that pays quicker than waiting 2 weeks for a paycheck. So we're waiting for that payday, and you don't have time waiting, you know, 2 weeks, sometimes 6 weeks on some of these other carriers. Well, I will say unnamed. So choose those carriers that are going to issue quickly so you don't lose your prospect, because now they've had too much time to think about it. And maybe they were, you know, originally on the fence, but they do want it. They do need it, but they need, you know, you to help them. So choose your carrier. And then I love what Spencer was saying about caring enough to find out. My notes I wrote down was, when you're going through your client qualification sheet and you're pre-qualifying, make it really conversational and help them feel comfortable. Like, don't just drill through it. Like, you got this, you got a heart attack, you had cancer, you know, like if they mention something, because people, you know, that's kind of vulnerable for them to share that with you, because sometimes there's medications that they might be embarrassed of that will come out later. So when they're talking, just make it conversational. Oh, wow, and congratulate them. If they say they're a cancer survivor, that's awesome, or whatever it is. So that's how you're going to get more information on what's happened in their life, and ask them again, validate. Okay, so if I heard you correctly, you've only had to take, blood pressure medication and this medication, for this. Oh, what was that medication for? What was that for? Because some medications can be for seizures or can be simply for restless leg syndrome, which is no problem for restless leg syndrome. But if it's for seizures, that all of a sudden now you go and put your application comes back and they say, oh, it's only going to be qualified for a return premium. And then you're like, oh man. So, just do your due diligence and going through, that whole qualification process. So in a nutshell, really, that's what I have. Just keep it simple.
Awesome. And I hope you're catching the theme here, guys. Foundations and keeping it very simple. And we heard from both of these top issue paid folks on that. So we're going to shift now and bring on Mr. John Paul Veteran. Guys, one of the things that I know we've highlighted Spencer and Stella for their high issue paid rates, but John Paul, here a few months ago, but actually probably a year ago now, time flies when you're having fun, surpassed over $1 million and $1.1 million in personal production. And guys, he's right up there with Spencer and Stella. I looked here a while back and I forget the number. John Paul, I should have had it written down here, but it's well up there. He's nipping on their heels. And so to write that amount of business, and again, to get the issue paid, that's phenomenal. That is, these are the folks that you want to be listening to. And obviously with John Paul, not only writing a ton of business, but also building a team. Guys, just, dig in. I'm going to let John Paul take over the call, lead us out to the end, but, buckle up, listen close, and keep those pens warmed up because we're going to get a lot of dynamite information.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate you. Great to see everybody. Glad to have the family back together again for a call. And you guys can hear me okay? All right. Gotcha. No worries. So I appreciate that, Chris. And so to kind of piggyback on some of the things that both Stella and Spencer spoke about, I want to talk a little bit more about some of those things related to placed business, but also, what you can do to increase your APV, your PPL, all those other things related to the client engagement and your appointment with the customer. So what I want to do, make sure you've got your notes ready, your pens and such, so write these down. We're not going to do a deep dive into each of these things and teach lessons on all of these specifically. Just from a time perspective, we don't have that. But I want to tee up bullet points for you to be able to engage your mentor and connect with them to have further conversations, about how to improve on these things. Listen to the SoundClouds, make sure you're on the training calls, all these things that can add to your skill set and sharpen your sword as it relates to these particular topics. And the other thing I want to say before I dive into this is that I'm going to give you a lot, fast and furious. Do not try to go and master all of those at once. You will crash and burn. It's information overload. You're not going to be able to do it. Pick out a couple of the things that are low-hanging fruits that you can make minor tweaks to improve yourself in those areas and master that. Then move on to the next couple of 2 or 3 things that you want to work on to master that. This is a journey. You're not going to go from good to great overnight or beginner to master overnight. Every journey begins with a first step. Stop trying to jump to the next highest level when you can't quite reach it yet, when you can take another ladder that has steps that are lower to the ground and more of them. You can start climbing that to get to your goal. Does that make sense? So let's talk about a couple of things that we shared, right? First of all, instant approval in those underwriting decisions is definitely the way to go. Make sure you understand the concept of critical period and equity protection strategies. Those terms are used interchangeably with your clients to make sure they understand the importance of that. I'm going to come back to that here in just a second because I think that warrants a little bit further conversation for folks. because that's a concept that's hard for people to necessarily understand. And there's a lot of questions around that early on from new folks. So I'm going to come back to that in just a second, actually. But the other thing is making sure you're leveraging Virtual Mentor, plugging your information into that to see the top 3 recommendations. Also realize at the bottom right-hand corner, when you show the top 3, that also if you expand and see all options, you can actually look and see other options that are on there for other carriers, not just the top 3. You can see other ones. Maybe 4, 5, and 6 are very close, but you're contracted with those, but maybe not the top 3, right? So make sure you're looking at those as well, and you can expand that out, okay? The other thing is make sure you're picking up the phone and calling the carrier and doing a risk assessment. Call the carriers for their sales support teams. Their whole mission in life is to answer the damn phone and answer your questions about the coverages. I've personally never written Foresters. I've written almost $1.1 million in APV, and I've personally never, ever written a single policy with Foresters. American Amicable Mutual of Omaha, pick all your others, a lot of business. But Foresters is a great carrier, and there's some people who master that. I personally have never written it, so I can't necessarily answer questions about this or that or the third, but guess who can? There's a sales support team, and they're there. That's their job. Make sure you've got these phone numbers and call them and wear them the hell out with questions. That's their job. Learn how to fish and go reach out to these people to get this information, and then call and speak to the underwriters to do a risk assessment to make sure that you're giving them the specifics on your client and asking them ahead of time if this is going to be good to go for this particular policy, whether it's a term or if it's a graded or level or immediate type coverage. They're going to tell you that, assuming that the client is giving you the correct information. Now, we all know about the other medicine cabinet, right? That happens from time to time. But, you should all have E&O and AIG's guaranteed issue whole life in your back pocket. If you don't, I don't mean just if you're brand new and you haven't even written a policy, but if you're in the mix, dialing, getting leads, setting appointments, get with your upline to make sure you have that in your back pocket, because you've always got that as a fail safe to get clients covered with if they can't get covered somewhere else and they're in really bad shape or a bad situation. Okay. So that's very important. Make sure you get appointed with AIG, but you do need E&O for that. You can go on the Symmetry website. It's like $30 a month. Sign up for it. Let's rock and roll, right? You invest in yourself and your business. So those 2 keys are those things I think are often overlooked, by new agents, and understanding that you have resources outside of your mentor and the plethora of resources we have here at Symmetry. But make sure you're leveraging the ones that each individual carrier has. They have Natalia's put up there. Yep, they have the live chat where you can just put it in there and you can be multitasking and sit there and send them information, and they'll let you know that way, right? So make sure you understand, and each carrier is a little different. Some of them have numbers you can call and speak to some of them. Some of them, like America, you got to send an email, and there's differences by carrier, okay? But those are all things you should be doing to manage your business, okay? The other piece of that is, and I'm going to come back to the critical period conversation, is just understanding that alone. I think far too many times people come here and think when they see an older client or somebody that maybe if it's a younger client that can't necessarily afford to get a full coverage, or it's just not possible. A lot of times you look at somebody who's maybe got a $300,000 house and they paid it off. They're elderly, but they did $100,000 home equity line of credit, right? For whatever the reason. Well, and they've got some medical concerns, and they see your letter and they fill it out and mail it back in. And now they're expecting, in their mind, they think they're going to get $100,000 policy. You know what I mean? And that's just not possible. Stop getting these people's expectations up that you can do fully underwritten, do blood and urine and EKGs and medical records and all that to drag it out 6 to 8 weeks to either get rated and be exorbitantly expensive or get flat out declined. And then the secondary piece of that is that they don't necessarily need the full payoff anyway. That's your job to explain to them why they don't need full payoff. And I'm going to explain to you what that means, right? So the point of the matter is, if you've gone down this fully underwritten road and set their expectations that they think they can get $150,000, $200,000, on a policy, when they're older on a term policy, when they run against a brick wall, you lose a lot of credibility. It's awful hard for you to crawfish on that and get back into the mix and then shift gears and have a different conversation with people. Because now it's better for you to address the issue up front. And a conversation is simply like this, and it's so brilliant in concept and theory and strategy. People get it if you just connect with folks and explain it to them in normal conversation, right? You know, so as an example, if I've got a client that's got a $100,000 home equity line of credit and they've got a $300,000 house, well, they still have $200,000 equity in the property. That's the approach you need to take with this thing. Because let's say their mortgage payment on the payment on their $100,000 HELOC is $1,000 a month. Well, when Mr. Johnson passes away, Ms. Johnson's going to lose his retirement benefits, or income is going to be impacted significantly. When he passes, the mortgage company is not going to call her and want $100,000 and knock on the door tomorrow. All they want is next month's $1,000 payment, right? So if you show a client that you can get $20,000 or $30,000, $40,000, it's about making sure you have money to buy time to make a decision. Because what happens with a lot of these folks who lose properties is because someone passed away and the surviving spouse is emotionally distraught, as we've all been there at one point in our lives. You know, it's part of life is death, right? And now what happens is she's not thinking right. She's lost his income, and it's easy for her to fall behind on a couple of months mortgage payments. That's what the hell the bank is counting on, so that she can fall behind a few months and they steal a $300,000 house for $80,000 balance on the loan. She's homeless and they steal all the equity as profit. You have to be able to explain to your client that very scenario and explain to them, Mr. Johnson, I can appreciate you $100,000, right? Feel, felt, found. I know exactly how you feel, right? I've had a lot of senior clients that I've worked with that have felt the same way. And what they found is by using this strategy of equity protection from a critical period coverage, it can save the property and the home. So hear me out. Let's say we can get you a policy for $30,000. Your mortgage payments are $1,000 a month. Worst case scenario, that's 30 months worth of mortgage payments from Miss Johnson, right? All they want is next month's payment, right? So she has two options, actually. One, she can take that amount for the policy, and she can use that to just make the mortgage payments until she can clear her head and think clearly about what it is she wants to do. That's the big catch, where a lot of folks find themselves in a position of financial desperation and emotional duress, and they lose a property. We all know some of this probably happened to you, right, Mr. Johnson? And lost some land, house, or property because the bank stole it. But if they had something as simple as $30,000, $20,000, it would have changed everything, because they could have made those payments, right? So that's much more affordable for most of my senior clients. Even if we could get you $100,000, it'd probably be out of most folks' budget to do that anyway. And quite frankly, in my opinion, from what we're going to look at, you won't need to do that anyway. So think about it. She has two options. The aforementioned, where she can just make the payments and decide maybe she wants to sell the house, put it on the market, wait for the right offer. She's also not subjected to predatory purchasers who want to come in and buy it for less than market value to bail her out, so she doesn't lose everything, so she gets a little something. Well, they're stealing the equity, not the bank, right? But if she's got money, she doesn't have to deal with any of them. She can think about what she wants to do. The flip side of it, as you mentioned, she'll lose your retirement benefits, right? So a lot of what you have for your budget and overhead now to cover the $1,000 mortgage is part of your income from your retirement. You said she'll lose that. She also, let's say, look, and it's not about if, it's when. We're all going to go home one day. Let's say on this home equity line of credit, you only owe $60,000, and the property values are now up to $360,000, because property values always go up, right? So there's a $300,000 delta there. If you've got a $30,000 policy to protect the mortgage, she can also call the mortgage company and say, my husband passed, we owe $60,000 on this house. Here's 30 grand. I want to refinance the other $30,000 on my home. Now she has $185 damn a month mortgage payment, not $1,000. You have to be able to have these conversations with people, and it's instant underwriting approval in most scenarios, right? So it's your responsibility to have that conversation and instill the confidence in your client of something so conceptually simplistic that they can afford, that will absolutely protect their mortgage. And it doesn't have to be full payoff. You have to understand how to leverage that with your clients first and foremost, because about 70% of all the business that we do at Symmetry is a mortgage protection equity protection / critical period coverage for seniors. Or even if it's a term product, maybe it's a younger couple that has sorry about that. My phone's ringing. Sorry. If somebody has a $300,000 mortgage and $300,000 is not affordable to them, maybe $200,000. Same situation. She's still going to get $200,000. You owe $260. She pays off that, refinances the other $60. She has a $400 a month mortgage payment. Whatever the story is, be able to explain this to your client. There's no wrong answer. The wrong answer is not to have any damn thing. The right answer is whichever of these policies will protect your family and the property, the equity in your mortgage that you can afford on a monthly basis. And that's the right answer, because the banks are hoping that you don't have this information and you don't have a policy like this. Your lender has entire teams of data analysts, MBAs, and number crunchers who run propensity modelings. They run profitability projections, demographics. And if you don't think that they know who's likely to have and likely not to have these kinds of coverages, you're fooling yourself. They know. And they hate the fact that I'm even talking to you tonight, because we're going to take you off their radar. These are the conversations you have to have, because it's real. And if they tell you about an example of their Aunt Louise who lost a house or property back in the 70s because of that very situation, because Uncle so-and-so, passed away, then say, so my point exactly, it didn't have to be full payoff. What if Aunt Louise had $30,000 to keep the mortgage payments up till she could even just sell it herself? Would have made all the difference in the world, right? Well, yeah. Well, think about how much different that family's life would be in 2022 if they had kept that property in their family for the last 4 decades. All from a simple policy for $20,000 or $30,000. Wealthy people have been doing this for generations, not because it's expensive, but because they've had people that teach them what to do and folks to help them find the right solution that I'll be able to do with you tonight. These are the conversations you got to have with people. So I just want to make sure we cover that conversation about critical period and equity protection. They're interchangeable terms for the same concept, right? And I'm being mindful of the time as well. So please bear with me. Some of the other things that you can do when you're writing policies is when you're visiting with your clients is writing additional policies, making sure that you're looking at, they've got children, and if they've a disability income option or relatives, referrals, all those other things, riders on the policy for disability income, build value. Sometimes you might meet with a client who doesn't see value in $100 for just the mortgage protection, maybe, because that's not really their hot button, but you can ask the right questions and understand that they're not as concerned about losing the house if they pass away, because their wife makes good money and she can make the payments herself, whatever the story may be. But he's more concerned about if he got hurt and he couldn't work for 2 years because he had a buddy that fell off a ladder and was out of work doing therapy and rehab for 18 months. He lost everything because he couldn't work. That's his hot button. That's real world to him. Whether it's a standalone policy or a rider, the client, if you do a rider and add that onto the policy and it's $130 a month, he might be all over that. But some of you get scared and think you want to go in it and look at this through the lens of your pocketbook or your wallet. Stop doing that. Connect with the emotion of the client of why this is important to them and show them the options. Educate your client and empower them to make their own decisions about what coverages are best for them. Stop trying to sell people. People love to buy, but they hate to be sold. But if you educate them and teach them, people will respect you. They know you have their best interest at heart. They see it through the lens of how it can help their family, and bring that out in the client about what their concerns are and assuage those concerns with the solution you'll be able to provide for the client. And that's the key. So many people miss that connectivity. It's all about numbers and fast, quick. Shut up, slow down. Educate the client and ask questions. Understand what it is that's important to them and respond in kind. You have to understand what they're, I'm not joking. I had a situation years ago where I went to a dealership, looking for a truck, and I was looking for a black truck. And this guy wanted to show me a red SUV because it was the deal of the day. I'm like, bro, are you not listening to me? I'm looking for a black truck. He's not listening. I don't even like red cars personally. All my vehicles are black, right? But the point is he's not listening to what I'm saying. You know, an SUV, cool, bro. That's not what I'm asking you for. That's not what I'm looking for. So it is a complete turnoff. So listen to your client, connect with them, and be genuine. That's what catches most people off guard, because so many people try to sell people things as opposed to just connect with people and be real. If you always do right by people, you can't ever be wrong. First and foremost, always believe that, right? So the next thing I want to talk about real quick is we talked about add-ons. We talked about building value, children's policies, you know, those types of things you can add on, where you can do one e-app through Mutual of Omaha and do 6 kids on one up to 8. And it counts as additional apps that all help your conversion rates. And it also builds for a more cohesive relationship with the client and adds APV. You know, one of the people that I'll actually just tee up just real quick, you know, James McKeon, I call him James, you know, Apps McKeon, because he's extremely good about adding additional policies for the client and writing 4, 5, 6 policies for every appointment on a regular basis. So James, I want to just tee you up real quick. Will you just talk a little bit about kind of what you do with the client and how you approach that to add so many apps for each individual client that you visit and help protect those families?
Sure. Good grief. I've already got like 6 pages of notes. So
yeah, I just made all that up. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So
Stella and Spencer, really appreciate you guys. Yeah, no, it's kind of like what Stella said earlier, you know, in terms of, you know, adding apps, adding value, what JP said. I mean, I'm not really going to probably say something that hadn't already been mentioned, but I think maybe just a different perspective on it. You know, my story, my very first app I've ever written, apps rather, was off a 50-cent lead when I first started with Symmetry. It was a situation that they had actually already sold the house 5 years ago and whatnot, but I was able to use well, I understand that's exactly why I'm calling. Went out there, met with the husband and wife, had 2 daughters, really didn't know what I was doing, calling JP every 5 seconds, trying to figure out how to do an e-app on Mutual of Omaha on an iPad, totally unprepared, but, and the internet signal wasn't all that great either, but it was out in the sticks, but ended up writing, you know, 6 applications, my very first sell. And it was 2 children's policies with a his and hers, you know, term life 20 or term life express 20 years. And I'll never forget that. You know, that was sort of my break into doing what I was doing. And I honestly, being very new, didn't realize that was a big deal. My first full selling month was January of 2020, and I closed out with 29 applications. At the end of the day, my thing, I have 6 kids. I don't know if that's why you use that example, JP. He always picks on me about that. But that's important to me. If I go into a home, or what used to be, but if I'm on a Zoom call, you know, and part of discovery and verifying their meds and age and height, I mean, why aren't we asking them about their spouse and their kids, or, you know, do they have any grandkids, right? It kind of, to me, goes without saying, you want to add a child whole life quote. If nothing else, you already have them on your screen. You're in the middle of the meeting. How long does it take to say, here, I really want to show this to you real quick. It's going to take just a second, but, you know, you mentioned your 4-year-old granddaughter. You sound like you're really proud of her. Love the name, but let me show you this. And it's $4 a month. But here's the benefit, right? It's not about, you know, what would happen, God forbid, if she passed away and you would get a $5,000 check. It's going to guarantee her insurability. You hear all the time about, you know, unfortunately, how kids you know, she's perfectly healthy at 5, right? But what happens when she turns 12 and then develops, some type of cancer, or, you know, I don't know the names of them right now, Hodgkin's, lymphomas, different things like that you hear about kids having to go through things. You just want to reiterate that it guarantees her insurability. So if down the road, she's 28 years old, she's married, has children of her own, buys her first house, and she wants to get $400,000 worth of coverage, she'll be able to, despite what she had, you know, 30 years ago that she's completely cured from, right? And I actually had that happen. I had a guy 6 months in to my career here, and he, you know, no medications. He was 31, perfectly healthy, you know, everything, right? And he got declined. And turns out he had testicular cancer when he was 8 years old. And he didn't mention it to me, but he didn't think about it because he was completely cured of it. Had he had something like child whole life through Mutual of Omaha, he would have been able to get the coverage he needed. But that's kind of my elaborate, point there when you're looking to increase your app count, but also, build that value and that trust with the clients. The other thing too, I don't know if you want me to mention this, but I always try to talk about his and hers. You can do a spouse rider. You can do, there's all kinds of ways to try to save money, right? You can add all these riders to one policy. But one thing I always try to tell clients is, what happens at the end of that 10 years or that 20 years when you go to cancel that policy, then you lose all that additional coverage that you paid for. Well, what happens is, there's conversions and there's other things that clients can do to extend coverage on the spouse if one dies or whatnot. But honestly, if you can talk to them about, doing a his and hers policy, 20 years, 100,000 each, or when you're doing your discovery, why not say, what happens if he passes? Are you a 60-40 split on income? Are you a 70-30 split? Well, she might need $400,000 or $300,000 of coverage on him, but he might not necessarily need that on her. And so you're still getting her the coverage she needs. But if she's a stay-at-home mom, 3 kids, she contributes. And I tell people all the time, my wife always worked harder than I did because she had the kids, the house, cleaning and everything else. But I just got to go to work and do what I do. Right. And yeah, I would bring home, say, $80,000, $90,000, $100,000 a year, but I wouldn't have necessarily been able to do that had she not been a stay-at-home mom helping take care of the home front. Right. So, I guess the way I would word it is she contributes as much, if not more. So I would want to, not necessarily put a value on what she does, but I would say, if something happened to her, I would still be able to go to work and I would still be able to afford the mortgage, but I would still need some help. I would still have to get childcare. I would still have to have, other people taking care of my kids for me. So I could still go to work to still make the money I make to still pay for the house, right? There's still groceries. There's still college. They're still getting them through high school alone. Right. So what if I have 3 kids, what if I put $150,000 in life insurance, right? I don't need 300 on her, but I could do 150. So if something happened, that gives me 50,000 per kid to help get them through their high school and college years. So there's a lot of value you can build with that, doing separate his and hers policies. And then 2, the third thing I would mention, and I don't mean to tie it up, JP, you can cut me off if you need to.
No, go ahead. It's good stuff.
Is we talk about pairing that, Stella, I believe you mentioned it, combining your applications. The one thing I was taking so many notes, I don't know if you said this or not, but I'll just reiterate, is, not only are you adding value, but you're also helping them save money. A lot of times when you do a policy, say through AMM or Term Life Express, and you add you do a $200,000 policy and you add $100,000 for $8, $9, $10 a month, right? Well, that's fine. But again, if you do a 20-year term policy with AMM, but then you turn around and do a separate GA policy, and maybe it's a few more bucks per month in combination.
Just for clarity, real quick, James, just for clarity, he's referring to an accidental death rider with AMM versus guaranteed advantage, which is an accidental death policy for mutual.
Sorry about that, guys.
Brand new people, they don't know what that means, the acronym.
Yeah.
So just for clarity, a standalone accidental death policy. Go ahead, James.
JP, you're in charge of putting together the acronym sheet that's going to explain all of that. No. But yeah, if you let's say you do a 20-year term with American Amicable for, I don't know, just say easy math, let's say $80 a month, and you do a rider that makes it a combined total of $95 a month. But let's say you split that up and say, well, Mrs. Dinwiddie, what happens is if we can lower that face value a little bit, right? Because what you owe today is not what you're going to owe in 2 to 3, 5 years. And, you take care of yourself, you go to the doctor, you weigh that risk of, am I going to pass away in the next few years versus the likelihood of that, right? So let's go ahead and lower that a little bit. But then let's jump over here and supplement that difference with an accidental policy. And what's great about that is when you don't need this term coverage anymore, or you outlive it, you are still covered all the way out to age 80 for this accidental. And you know what? We tend to become more prone to accidents whenever we reach our 60s and 70s and 80 years of age. So it's great. It covers you for that. And not only that, but a side note, you do get that 25% additional face value if you do happen to pass due to auto or pedestrian accidents. So it's, something like that's also great depending on their occupation, if they're more prone to work accidents, things like that, truckers, machinists, welders, things like that.
And it doubles for common carrier accidents. So if you had a $500,000 policy, it would be $625. It was a vehicle or pedestrian scenario, but it was a plane crash, it'd be $1 million.
Yep.
So that's built.
Yep. So, I mean, that's kind of my approach whenever I'm trying to, not only for my agency, future agency, I'm not there yet. I hope to aspire to be JP and Stella and Chris and the rest of you guys. But that's what I try to do to help grow my business, my book of business, referral business, future referral business, hopefully. And not only that, but stickier clients, right? If they've got multiple policies with us, they might end up canceling one, but they're still with us over here. Right. That's, I think the only other point I would make, JP, is, and I wrote this down because I wanted to, hopefully it helps somebody on the team, is, when you're doing those guaranteed advantages, if you do happen to run across somebody who is an immigrant who doesn't have, they're not a U.S. citizen, or they don't have a permanent placement card, or a permanent card, sorry. One thing I found out this past week, I had 2 asylees. They had their cards, but they weren't green cards. They weren't permanent cards. Mutual of Omaha would not accept them for the accidental, but Foresters Prepared to would. So, and they got issued and they've already been paid. So when you're doing combo apps like that and you're trying to split it up, I didn't realize Foresters had a guaranteed advantage equivalent, so to speak. But that's also a thing to look into, is Foresters Prepared to.
Great stuff. No, that's great stuff, James. The other thing to keep in mind when you're presenting options to these clients, and obviously most of the people still on the call, I know we're over, but this is such great information, definitely, things that I think can be directly impactful to your income and your APV, PPL, all those things to increase your profitability. So I appreciate you sticking on with us. We haven't had a chance to jump on together as a group like this for a while. So definitely want to take advantage of that. So a couple of more things and then we'll adjourn, but
all right, real quick, JP, I got to give props to Natalie for helping me out with that one. I saw your face and I'm like, no, I got to call her out on that. Thank you so much for that.
There you go. So the other thing was, when you're building these for younger folks who have kids and you're looking at these term products and stuff, making sure you're having conversations with these people about loss of future income. Okay, so what I mean by that is this: these are designed to protect the mortgage, but we know it's not connected to the mortgage. It goes to the beneficiary, not the lender, not the bank, right? So what you want to make sure is as an example, and I'll just share this with you because this is a real world scenario I had a while back. It was a lady. She was a marketing director at Home Depot here in Atlanta. Doing well. She had like a $500,000 policy through work and blah blah blah. Well, she was a single mom with 2 little girls, I think like 8 and 10 years old, if I remember right. Right. So she had $300,000 mortgage, and her thing is she wanted to make sure that she could pay off the house and take care of the girls if something happened to her, because the relationship with her husband wasn't that great. Shared all that with me. And so, but as I'm going through it, she really didn't see, she was thinking in her mind, she didn't need the $300,000 standalone policy with me because she had $500,000 from work, right? So I said, well, call her Kim just for anonymity. Okay, Miss Kim, let's talk about it. Maybe, I don't know, right? So let's talk about that scenario. You got $500,000 through work. I was an executive in the corporate world for 3 decades. I've seen more reorganizations and realignments and mergers and acquisitions through HR than you can shake a stick at. So first and foremost, you've probably seen some collateral damage of some of your friends in the past in your corporate role where people were great folks, but they just found themselves unemployed or released from their role because they merged or restructured to cut OpEx or whatever, right? Well, yeah. So that policy you have to work is only good as long as you work there. So if you quit, get fired, get laid off, reorged, or just decide you want to leave and go somewhere else, you're going to lose that policy immediately. You understand that? Well, yeah. Okay. So that's that. But let's talk about it. Even if you had that coverage and you had it from work, $500,000, you got a $300,000 mortgage. right? And you told me that you want to make sure that your 8 and 10-year-old little girls are taken care of. How much do you make a year? There's a reason why I'm asking this, ma'am, because I want to show an example, because I want to see if this makes sense. Well, I make $100,000 a year. Okay, that's better than a lot of folks. So great. So let's use that as the example. It makes for simple math. Even if you are at work and you passed away, God forbid, next week, and I'm going to pray that you live to be 106 years old. Even if your family got the $500,000, they pay off the $300,000 on your mortgage, and you've got an 8 and 10-year-old little girl, and you're going to leave them with 2 years worth of lost income. How are they going to make it to college and everything else that they need in their life from a financial perspective? Think about that. You got 5, you spent 3, you got 2 left over. You make $100,000 a year. That's 2 damn years for 8 and 10-year-old little girls. If your kids are adults like mine, maybe it doesn't mean that. Maybe it's not as big a deal, right? Well, I didn't think about it like that. Well, that's my job, man, for us to talk this through and see what makes sense. Needless to say, she got a $300,000 policy with me, standalone, specifically for the mortgage, so because she could use the other $500,000 for the girls if needed for her work policy, and it fit her budget and all that stuff. But the point is, you got to be able to have these conversations with people, you know, about loss of future income. If they've got little kids, it ain't just about paying off the house. That's a big chunk of it. But paying off the house is one thing. If your spouse's income is going to be materially impacted, you've also got to think about food and football and basketball and clothes and camp and, you know, college and hell, whatever else. Have these conversations with your folks, right? So, and I'm looking at the time. So one last thing I want to talk about is just maximizing your opportunities as a business owner. I think our leads here are bar none the fuel that drives this machine. It's incredible. Invest in yourself, invest in your leads. The more you invest in your leads, the better your skill set is, the more you're going to make, clearly. But at the same time, don't negate other simple things like just connecting with the people you protected for referrals, and Aunt Betty and whoever else in their family that might need coverage, that they trusted you and you connected with them. Man, I can't get out the house without a plate. And 6 referrals are your cousins and everybody else, because you connect with people and they like you and they trust you, and it's genuine. You make that connection with people about referrals. But some of the other things that you can do in your own business to organically drive self-generated opportunities is get involved in a networking group. Back in the day in the home security business, we used to always do Power Core, BNI, whatever the hell your people call it in the city where you're in. There's different ones, you know, where you get together and it's a group of folks. We got a real estate guy and a mortgage guy and a pest control guy and an alarm system guy and just whatever. Get involved in one of those groups where you can network with each other to cross-pollinate your customer bases with one another. All right. The other thing is connect up with some property and casualty agencies in your area that don't do life insurance, and work out a deal with them where they can send you their clients to do the life, and you can send them the P&C clients. You know, it's not going to work for everybody, but if you don't tee up the conversation, you're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? Another thing is connect with mortgage brokers or loan originators. These people are out there connecting with people to do mortgages, the real estate agents. Shit, the house they just closed, they're about to get some letters in their mailbox in a couple of days from us. Why not get upstream of that conversation so that they're referring the clients to themselves, right? And work out that relationship. Better yet, recruit them. Recruit them to be part of the organization, because they can do both. They can, because they're in the front lines with doing mortgages and home closings as a real estate professional. And as you know, real estate deals, you do all this work and you might get paid 2 months from now, and you get a cash, payday, and then now you ain't doing nothing for the next maybe, right? Now, if you're a hustler, you're banging them out left and right. But a lot of real estate agents, the overwhelming majority of folks, have a sporadic closing here and there. Hook them up and show them how to get paid direct deposits every single damn day. Recruiting, but also just really referrals initially, right? But also putting your cards at restaurants, like I love to go to mom and pop restaurants as opposed to like chain stuff, because they always have a little table where you can put your cards right there in the entryway or on a cork board or something like that. And I'm not saying that, and there's so many more. I'm just trying to plant a few seeds with you. There's so many things you can do, and not any one of these things is a silver bullet, right? Not one of these things is going to revolutionize your business in and of itself. But if it's a sum total of all these things, if you're doing all these self-generated prospecting activities to think outside the box, I guarantee you, it's not going to mean that you're going to write, you know, $20,000 or $30,000 a month on that alone. It'd be awesome, but I want to be realistic. But I guarantee you can probably write an extra $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month. I wrote $12,000 some for the month a couple of months back. 12,000 of them what I wrote that month, just on referrals and follow-up customers, unsolicited. They're calling me from relationships I've built over the years, right? So it's huge to be able to plant these seeds. And even if you get 1 or 2 a month here and there from the sum total of these activities, it can elevate your business to the next level, especially if you missed a promotion or agency owner run by $1,000. You'd be glad you had that one extra policy that you got off somebody picture card up at the local, you know, mom and pop diner in the morning that just happened to call you. The other thing is about the value adds and the disability income riders and the children's policies and the waiver of premiums, a waiver of premium for unemployment. Understand what all these riders mean, because some of them can only add $2 or $3 a month to the policy. But now instead of writing, as I stated earlier, a $100 a month policy, maybe it's $129. You take that times 12, and now you take that times all the customers you visit with. That can make a $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year difference in the APV and your income, as well as escalating you to the promotion guidelines faster because of the sum total of your activities. So what I want you to do is start thinking outside the box and being a business owner. You know, don't just rely only on the leads. Definitely have your standing bonus lead order and get fresh A leads every single week. But there's other things you can do outside of that, and you can do in the actual appointments you are setting to then build value with your client and add to it incrementally, $2, $3 here and there. It all adds up, I can assure you, right? So anyway, that's and there's so many more things, but I do want to be respectful of the time. We're way over, so I apologize to everybody. But Chris, we appreciate the opportunity to come on and reconnect as a larger group for sure. We're all family. And it's great to see everybody's smiling, shining faces on the call, you know, today. We love you guys. We miss everybody. You know, we're here, you know, we're going to make this a regular thing to where we can reconnect on a regular. Chris and I will talk about, you know, and Stella, kind of what cadence makes sense there. But we'll definitely reconnect. So hopefully you got some value out of what you heard on the call today and can apply that real time in what you're doing. And again, I know it's a lot fast and furious. Take your notes. Plug into your mentor and ask questions. Hey, what does that mean when he said that, right? And then run that up line so you can gain further clarity. These are just nuggets. You need to go out and dig a little deeper to find the real gold and understand these things and how to apply them to your business. Chris, thank you. Appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate it, guys. We're going to wrap up the call. We've gone over, but it's all very, very valuable information. We're going to wrap it up. 30 seconds. 3 things. Write down 3 numbers. 2,500. 5,000, 10. Your minimum target for this week is to write 2,500. Your target is to write 5,000. How are you going to do that? Super simple. We're going to simplify this. We know from the data, if you have just 10 sits, 10 face-to-face sits, forget about appointments, forget about all this other stuff. How many calls I got to make? Focus on what do I need to do to get 10 sits. You will be happy with the results. Guys, we're going to wrap it up with that. Thank you all for jumping on. Can't wait till we see each other again on the next call. Make sure you get with your mentor, plan your week out. And guys, it's rock and roll. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Love y'all. Appreciate it.